Okay, so now that we discussed the definition of statistics, we're going to move right into examples of statistics, how statistics is used everywhere. But before we do that, I, I want to introduce a quote that my professor actually used. And I think this is a really interesting quote. So he said, I'll write it down for you. There is known, unknown, and unknown. Okay, let me try to explain. So what I'm trying to say is there is, sorry, okay, so we know that we are looking for the unknown, right? Unknown meaning variable, right? This is what we're looking for. For example, in here, um, when we discuss the election process, right? The unknown here is the support rate, right? Because we have no idea how people support these two candidates. So for A, after taking the poll, we concluded that 65% were in favor of A, and that was unknown before. But after taking this poll, we now know that this is the percentage. So what we're trying to say here is that there is known unknown. So this we can find. We can try to find it by survey, by doing a poll, whatever it is, we can try to find it. But there also is unknown unknown, which means that there is something we are trying to find, but we have no clue how to find it, and we don't even know it exists, right? So there are two types of variables, but what statistic is trying to find is this part, known unknown, and this is what we can deal with. But unknown, we have no idea. We are clueless, right? So this is what we're trying to do with statistics. So and this is where statistics comes in play. Alright, so let's look at some examples of statistics. So let's see. So what? So I'm just gonna go over some easy examples. So one example, right? So usage. Let me write it down here. Usage statistics. Okay, and it's very interesting because whenever we talk about statistics, we always talk about math, um, or I don't know, statistics like average, right? But it's way more than that. It's way more than that. So, um, let me give you some examples. So, let's just talk about the typical ones, right? So, for example, one is in education, of course. So spell them all. Let me fix that. Education. So, for example, testing. So, conduct testing. For example, let's say in this class, right, in the statistics and research method class, you received I don't know, you received 90, 95 on the first exam, and 90, I don't know, let's just make that up, 97 on the second exam, right? So if you try to find the average, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the concept of average, but it's going to be 96. Oh, the average, sorry. Right? Because what you would do is you would add these number and divide it by 2, and that gives you 96. And this is a very, very, very simple example. How this is used in statistics, more so than this simple example, is something called standardized test. Standardized test. Okay. So I'm not sure how it's like in Tanzania, but so in US there is something called the SATs exam, right? And this is for high school students to go to college, right? Every high school student has to take this exam to go to school, go to college, right? And what they do is everyone takes a test, but it's not like everyone it's not like you get a certain score right away. It's like, it looks like this. Let me just draw this right now, and we're gonna learn this later on, but I'm just gonna tell you. So they try to make a curve out of it for the results, based on the results. So no matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult the test is, or how easy the test is, it doesn't really matter, because it's relative. So say I don't know, say you got I don't know 20 out of 30 questions. And if you think about it, that's not that good, right? That's not that good. But let's just think about it. Everyone else here got 5 out of 30 or 10 out of 30. And you could be the #1 person, but just looking at these numbers, it doesn't really look that good, right? So if you're like that, if the test is hard and you score the first but with a really low score, then you are in here. So they may try to make a curve out of it. So people scoring high, right? Some say high score, and this is low score. High are not that many, but people in the middle, right here, this is how many they have. It has more here than here. So this is how standardized test works. And to give you a simple example, I guess, we can do something like this. So say that, again, going back to the class example, we can say that you got 50 on the first exam, and second exam you got 90. Your average is 70, which is pretty low, but say that everyone else got 40, or 30, blah blah blah, and you were #1. Then you will still get an A, because not because I'm a nice person, but because it's how the grading works. So if everyone else scored low, then you would get an advantage out of it. So you will still get an A with this score, with this low score. So that's how statistics works. I mean, like, you don't really have to know the details, because Again, we didn't learn about average yet. We didn't learn about this curve, but that's the idea of it. That's how it's used in education. And now, let's look at another example. So, example number 2. Okay, sorry about that. So, moving on to the second example. We can look at sports, right? So there are a lot of examples. I'm not sure what's really popular in Tanzania, but definitely every sport has some kind of statistics aspect to it. So for example, baseball, right? Number of hits, and they make it into a decimal, right? What else? And also we something like soccer, and um, as you all know, there is World Cup going on, so let me just use that as an example. Let's see where this is. Here we go. So this is the FIFA World Cup homepage, and these are the statistics. So let's just look at it. Okay, so here we see something like percentages. These are something um, easier to understand for us because 90, it's saying that he completed 90.9% of the time when he passed the ball, right? So something like that. And and also we use some average, right? Here it says average, tournament average. So these are some of the statistics used in sports, and it's really I'm just talking about the really basic stuff here. So let's move back here. What else is there? Let's see. 3 will be DNA coding, right? In biology, we learn about the DNA coding like A, T, C, G. I forgot what it was, but they pretty much we have complex coding in our DNA, and we use statistics as well there um, to explain and to make all the possibilities that we might have. Right, and we also discussed election. That's a big one, right? And surprisingly enough, weather forecasting uses statistics as well because it's all about chances, right? You can say there is a 70% chance of raining today, right? And it's a 70% because you calculated the probability of raining, right? So this also involves statistics. Also, we have census. Census is when you count the number of people, or let's say population, in a country. This is, I know for US it's done in every 10 years, but I'm not really sure about Tanzania. And the last one is, obviously there are a lot more, but this is the last one that I'm going to talk about.